My best friend Dale met the girl he married when he was in college, and I didn't meet her until the day of the wedding. I watched Anita walk down the aisle toward us. I was Dale's best man, and prayed to God that I could sleep with her. She was so cute. Well, it's been a year, and I've been sleeping with Nita for a couple months now, and it doesn't look like she's planning on stopping, at least not anytime soon. This is because about 6 months ago, I received an invitation from Nita to do whatever my little heart desires with her. It was a mistake, of course, but I ended up being able to capitalize on that mistake. It was Valentine's Day, and when I got home from work, I pulled the mail out of the mailbox and put it on the kitchen table to read. There were a few bills, a flyer from Safeway, and half a dozen Valentine's Day cards. One of them had unfamiliar handwriting on it, so I opened it first. The card was homemade, and on the outside it said, "Happy Valentine's Day, you fucking stud. Open the card to get Valentine's Day gift certificates." I opened the card, and inside were 6 pictures of a very naked Nita in several sexually suggestive poses, and a 20 by 25 centimeter piece of paper with a note attached. The sheet was divided into small squares that said something like, "Write for one night, including a month." The attached note said, "Dale, I couldn't think of what to get you, so I thought I'd give you what you seem to like best. With love, Nita." Somehow Nita mixed up the cards, and I got the one meant for Dale. I wondered what would happen if I went to his house and tried to ring up the coupons. Nita would probably call the police. I considered calling Nita and telling her about her mistake, but decided against it. It would cause a major disagreement between her, Dale, and me. And besides, I'd have to return the pictures. That evening, I got a call from an anxious Dale. "Did you get your Valentine from Nita yet?" I told him no, and he said, "When you get it, please don't open it, okay?" She mixed up a couple of letters, and one, a rather obscene one meant for me, was sent by mistake to you. He called every day for the rest of the week, but I always said I never got his card. Eventually, he stopped calling, but I know that for the next 2 weeks he kept a close eye on everyone Nita had sent a card to see if they had changed in his presence. It was 3 weeks after Valentine's Day when I saw Nita again. It was at a dance at the Elks, and all night, every time I looked in her direction, I caught her gaze on me. The look on her face spoke for itself. "It was you. I know it was you who got that Valentine." I danced with her 3 times that night and felt that she was waiting for some remark from me that would let her know for sure. During the 3rd dance, I said, "Curiosity has been killing me for the last couple weeks. What was in that Valentine you sent that got Dale so excited?" Nita gave me a shy smile and asked, "You mean you don't know yet?" I smirked and said, "Yes, I don't know yet, but I want to know." Nita gave me a long, probing look before she said, "It was something very, very private, and I pray to God that it never comes out in public." Don't worry, my sweetie, I thought. I won't share it with anyone. I saw her again 3 weeks later when I threw a small party at my house. In the middle of the party, Nita came up to me and asked, "Can I walk through your den?" I had never seen a hardened bachelor's apartment before. I had a hunch that she might want to sniff something out, because I was sure she was certain that I was the one who had gotten the wayward Valentine. I had already collected the compromising evidence and taken it out of the apartment for this party, so I told her to feel free to wander around as much as she liked, but to stay away from the top drawer of my dresser. That's where I keep all my really personal stuff. Knowing that this would now be the first place she would go, I had already salted the mine, or started the pump, by putting a lot of sexual material in that drawer. I had dated and slept with many free-spirited ladies, and had photos of me with all of them in various sexual manifestations. There were even a few pictures among them of the 3 of us with Linda and Nancy, who were also at the party with their husbands, and who, by the way, didn't know about their wives' extracurricular activities. Nita was going to see it for all it was worth. An hour later, I was in the kitchen filling an ice bucket when Nita walked in. "What are you? An old dog or something? Linda and Nancy at the same time?" I looked at her reproachfully, and she grinned. "Save the indignation, Romeo. As soon as you said stay out of that drawer, you knew right away I'd head straight for it. And you know what I was looking for. I know you got Dale's Valentine. I started to say something, but Nita put her finger to my lips and said, "Don't bother denying it." I sat down and looked through all the cards I had sent, and only 2 of them were big enough to hold what I had put in, yours and Dale's. I kissed the finger she put to my lips and said, "Very possibly, but that doesn't mean that our efficient postal service ever delivered that letter to my house. And if they ever manage to get it here, you know my curiosity will make me open it, so maybe you'll just tell me what I find." She smiled slightly at me and said, "Something that will go very well with what you have in your top drawer. Just out of curiosity, were Linda and Nancy before they were married?" I gave her what I hoped was a wicked grin. "No, every Tuesday and Thursday." "It's not very gentlemanly of you to brag about it." "Who's bragging? Before you came into my bedroom, only 3 people in the world knew about it. Now you know, and since you asked the question, I've answered it. It will still be a secret until you tell me." She shook her head negatively. "I happen to like them both, so I wouldn't want to spoil their fun." And then she surprised me by rising on her tiptoes and kissing me on the lips, and then she said, "Or yours," and left me standing in the kitchen. Over the next 2 weeks, I saw Nita 3 or 4 times, and she always asked me if her card had arrived, and I always said no, but I was wary. One day, Dale called me and said his company was sending him out of town on business for a couple days, and asked if I minded if he told Nita that she could call me if she had any problems or needed help. I told him he already knew the answer to that question, and he laughed and said he knew I wouldn't let him down, but it was just the polite thing to ask. The very next evening, I got a call from Nita. She had a flat tire, and when she went to change it, she found that her spare tire was flat too. Could I please come and help her? I picked her up and then took both tires to the service station to have them fixed. We were told they wouldn't be ready until 2 hours later, so I drove Nita to my house and invited her to have coffee while we waited. About halfway through my cup of coffee, I suddenly sat up and said, "Oh shit, I've got to get you out of here," and started going through my pockets looking for my car keys. I handed them to Nita. "Hurry up, you need to get out of here." She looked at me. "Why?" "Because it's Tuesday night and Nancy and Linda will be here any minute." We got up from the table and headed for the door just as the bell rang. The problem with apartments is that they only have one door. "Well, it looks like Linda and Nancy are going to find out what you know about them." Nita looked around frantically for a place to hide, which is another problem with apartments. There's nowhere to hide. "I'll go to the bedroom. You chase them away. Tell them you have the flu, headache, whatever." And she hurried into the bedroom before I could say no. I didn't have the slightest intention of giving up my evening with the 2 girls. I was thoroughly enjoying myself with both of them and had no intention of doing anything that would spoil our arrangement with them. I opened the door and saw the 2 of them standing there together. "It took you too long. We were beginning to think you didn't need us anymore." And they both walked in and headed straight for the bedroom. Well, I thought, this should be interesting as I followed them. But when we entered the room, Nita was nowhere to be seen. The bed was too low for her to hide under, and I know she didn't risk jumping from the 3rd floor to the ground, so that meant she ducked into the closet. Before the girls got dressed and said goodbye, we did a few more things, including Linda and Nancy pouncing on each other while I took pictures. I walked them to the door and then returned to the bedroom to face Nita's wrath. I walked into the bedroom expecting to see Nita preparing to throw something at me, but instead I saw her taking off her clothes. "You bastard! You were supposed to get rid of them, not bring them here. Now look what you've done to me." She lay down on the bed and looked up and down at me. I know I'd said earlier that I'd wanted to sleep with her as soon as I saw her for the first time, and the thought that I'd love to do it had never left me. But Dale was my buddy, and I was never going to molest his wife, and I told her so. "I can't, Nita. Dale's my best friend, and you're his wife. Don't bullshit me. You let this happen to me, and you have to take care of me. Dale isn't here to do that, you are." I shrugged. "What do you want me to do?" "I don't care a damn bit. Just do something." "What the hell, why don't you?" I walked over to my dresser, opened the top drawer, pulled out a Valentine's Day gift certificate, and handed it to her. "Take your pick." She looked at it and said, "Asshole, I knew you had it." She tore off one of the coupons and held it out to me. I read, "Eligible for 1 all-night sex session or as many as you can." I looked at her and she looked me straight in the eye. "Hurry the hell up. I really need this. I fucked her twice, and then she asked me to take her home. I need to be there when he calls. When Dale called, it was the third time we'd done it that night. She told him about the malfunction, how I had come to the rescue, and that I was going to drive her back in the morning to pick up the tires. He's taken very good care of me, kiddo. I'm glad you have such good friends that I can rely on when I need something. Oh yeah, baby, I thanked him. Yeah, baby, I love you. I'll see you the day after tomorrow. Bye. I can't see Nita as often as I'd like. The only time we can see each other is when Dale goes out of town. He's usually gone for 4 or 5 days, and Nita and I have non-stop sex when that happens. Yesterday was my birthday, and I got a card in the mail from Nita, and inside were 2 pages of coupons, and some of them are really very interesting. I'm especially looking forward to the one that says, "Right for one stormy night with you, Linda and Nancy." That should be very interesting indeed.